at this point, but they are still, again, investigations are underway, and they're hoping that as they continue to capacitate the police force, that those capacitating the police force will also help to speed up those sort of investigations. But at the moment, as it seems, extortion and drug dealing seem to be the top two causes for the shootings in those provinces.
And I see that General Labia, the head of the Hawks, has also been speaking about the Phala Phala investigation. What has he said?
So the Phala Phala matter, of course, is still one of the issues that's grabbing attention, a lot of questions. They didn't want to go too much into the details of what the investigators haven't revealed so far, but he assured that once the investigations have been concluded, they will be able to give more details. He's certain that they will be able to get a handle of the matter and brief the nation as soon as is possible.
Nokukanya, thank you very much. Nokukanya Mtambo, EWN reporter at that briefing today. Very much a show of force from the top brass of the SAPS and the police minister. Does that inspire confidence in you? Does it give you the assurance that the authorities are in charge and that they are on top of what we've really seen a spate of very violent, serious crimes in South Africa? Officials saying they don't believe these tavern shootings are linked, the intelligence saying that they are drug and extortion related. What is your reaction to that? Do you think that that is in line with your thinking? I'd love to hear from you. Send me a WhatsApp voice note or tweet me at Mandy Wiener.
7:02, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday,
12 to 1 p.m.
As we said, more than 80 suspects are appearing in court today. They were arrested in connection with the gang rape and robbery of 8 women in Krugersdorp. But as Nokukanya just told us, they're being charged with being in the country illegally. There's no DNA at this stage because we're waiting for DNA results. And we know that DNA results in this country can take years. So that's what they're waiting for, to actually charge them in connection with the rape. Bernadette Wicks, EWN reporter, is waiting for that court appearance. Bernadette, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time today. So what do we know about the charges today that these 80 suspects are going to face?
Hi, Mandy. Well, yes, as you mentioned, as far as we understand, they're not facing any charges specifically of rape or any sexual offences at this stage. As you mentioned, the police minister has already said that they're still waiting for DNA evidence in that regard. So what we expect them to appear in court on today are charges related to being in the country illegally and potentially possession of stolen goods. But yes, none of the major charges at this point.
And Bernadette, what's happening outside courts at the moment? I understand there are various protests taking place.
Yes, there's about 100 or so people gathered outside here, a couple of different organizations. We have people from Action SA, we have people from Operation Gedula, and we also just have regular, ordinary local residents who say crime has just been out of control for some time now. And then this, obviously, the brutality of this incident has really just pushed them over the edge. They really are demanding that action be taken.
And Bernadette, what do we know about the 80 accused? Do we know their nationalities? Do we have any more detail about who they actually are?
We don't have a lot of detail at this stage, and that detail isn't likely to be forthcoming in the next couple of days. We know that we're not going to be able to identify them once they have appeared, because an identity parade still needs to take place. So the identities are going to be withheld for the next couple of days at least. No images are allowed to be used. We do understand that they are apparently foreign nationals, and that they are apparently, several of them at least, are here illegally or not documented. But further than that, we really don't have much information at this point.
Bernadette, thank you very much. Bernadette Wicks waiting for that court appearance. At least 80 suspects arrested in connection with the gang rape and robbery of 8 women appearing in the Krugersdorp Magistrates Court today. The important point there is that they've been charged with being in the country illegally. The police minister said that they're trying to expedite. Forensic services have started the process of analysing the DNA of more than 80 suspects. Now, you and I both know how long it takes for DNA to be processed in this country. There's an enormous backlog. So it's going to be interesting to see how long this takes and whether or not it will be expedited and what that then means for all the other cases that are stuck in the backlog too.
Keep updated.
All you need to know in 60 minutes
This is the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
on 702.
As I mentioned, one person reportedly being shot dead in Tembisa this morning. Violent service delivery protests. Many roads have been closed. Many buildings have been set alight as well amidst that service delivery protests. Let's speak now to the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department spokesperson, Kelebogile Tepa. Kelebogile, good afternoon to you. What is the latest coming out of Tembisa? Can you give us an update on the situation?
Burning tires lost. Standing amid the triple
Okay.
which has also been set alight. And
Can you confirm that one person has been killed?
Okay.
we do confirm that one of the protesters and further that has been summoned.
Are you able to give us any more details about the circumstances there? I understand it was crossfire between EMPD officials and protesters. Is there anything else you can tell us?
That we are still on the ground running, and that the situation is quite volatile. We're trying to keep whatever that remains in Ekurhuleni safe. That it's really a situation where we make with great resistance by the protesters.
And I understand that there are some buildings, some infrastructure that's been set alight. I did see a tweet saying that the police station has been set alight. Is that accurate?
I could confirm for the purpose that is the customer care center at corner George Nyanga and Andrew Maphupheni Drive, where after being set alight, there are also protesters who are making their way into the building and making off with what is council belonging items.
And that's the police's customer care center?
That would be the Ekurhuleni municipality.
Okay. All right. Kelebogile, thank you very much for that update. Kelebogile Tepa, EMPD spokesperson, telling us that Tembisa is a no-go zone at this stage. One person has been killed in the crossfire there, IPID on the scene. Our reporter, Kgomoto Modise, has been in Tembisa this morning. She joins us now. Kgomoto, firstly, are you safe and where exactly are you?
Good afternoon, Mandy. So I'm just outside Tembisa. I've managed to get out through the Birchley area. But from where I'm parked, I can see a number of the spots around Tembisa that just have smoke in the air. And yeah, I've been there all morning and it's been hell getting out, but I have made it out.
Okay, well, glad to hear that you are safe and that you've managed to get out. Give us a sense of what's been happening there this morning. We've just heard from the EMPD about looting, buildings being set alight, tires being set alight as well. Paint the picture for us of what you've seen.
So I just want to take you from where we started this morning. This morning we started in Hospital Group, which is on the outskirts of Tembisa. And the situation there was tense. Rocks and burning tires were used to barricade the roads. However, it was nowhere near as what I'm seeing right now or what I've just seen inside Tembisa. The situation inside Tembisa is that all the entry points have been blocked. The situation is very volatile because residents are very angry. They don't want to see any cars driving in and out. They don't want to see any people walking in and out. In fact, if you have a bag, with you that has maybe a laptop or anything that's the signal of you going to work, you're turned back, you are threatened. Residents are extremely upset about the service delivery challenges here, as well as the electricity issue, which is at the heart of the protest here. Many of the roads remain barricaded and blocked. The only part of the drive was kind of move out of the way with the police vehicles. But thereafter, if you're driving any other vehicle, you are told to return where you've come from. I've seen people even being shouted at here for even getting into their cars and trying to drive in and out.
Sure.
So the situation is extremely tense currently. And people are saying here, how dare you go to work? How dare you continue with your life when the challenges that they're facing here, should affect you as well, whether or not you're a resident of Tembisa. So, it is quite tense.
Sounds very tense indeed. Kgomoto, you said the electricity issue is at the heart of the problem here. What exactly are residents protesting about?
So residents have spoken to me about 100 Rand subsidy or some sort of a subsidy from the city that they'd struck a deal with the city when the city was assisting many of the families that couldn't afford electricity. And there had been a conversation about assistance in the form of a subsidy to help particularly those families that are struggling, families that are child-headed, families that have the elderly, and just people that are earning grants. And they've said to me today that that subsidy has been taken away. And for the last couple of months, they've had to put their entire electricity bill. Now, 100 Rand doesn't sound like much, but for the Tembisa people here, it is everything. They say that, for majority of the month, they have no power because they just can't afford to pay for the electricity. They've also spoken about the rates that they've had to pay, saying that they've gone up exponentially as well. And they're also then coupling that with all the other things that South Africans are affected by, the electricity, the petrol price, and just the general cost of living. And they're saying that they had a meeting scheduled with the mayor of Ekurhuleni, Tanya Campbell, and they called her, and she'd apparently committed to meeting them on Friday. Now, I've sent an inquiry to the mayor, and I'm waiting for a response. But they say that she did not honor that invite. She didn't come to the meeting on Friday, and they're extremely upset about that, saying that she doesn't respect them, and she's going to be able to show her and the other people around Joburg what the people of Tembisa can do.
Khomotso, thank you very much. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporter. Stay safe. She's just out of Tembisa now. Tembisa at the moment, a no-go area. That's what the EMPD is telling us. Avoid Tembisa, whatever you do. There are buildings that have been set alight. I've never really understood the logic of burning your own infrastructure in a particular suburb or township, but I've covered many a service delivery protest, and it really does demonstrate a desperation, an absolute infuriation, an anger, a lack of alternatives. And that's what we're seeing here, is that there is such a level of frustration and anger and outrage at government over service delivery, over the cost of living, over petrol, over electricity, and this is how it is manifesting today. If you're in Tembisa, please send me a WhatsApp voice note. Let me know what's happening there. 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
David Bruce, we've put so much focus on gender-based violence. What is the society getting wrong on this issue?
The one thing that we could do much better is in mobilizing as a society against violence much more comprehensively. There's also then questions about the response of the government and the police.
Guy Lamb, the police minister, his media presence, is that helpful?
The publicization of it, I think, is quite important, but as often as we seem to be kind of doing the same old thing.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
You spend time contemplating your investment goals. What if your goals had goals of their own? If you can invest in local startups, why not invest in global big tech? If that investment can grow in one currency, why can't it create wealth offshore with expanded international opportunities? Speak to a Liberty accredited financial advisor on how to diversify your wealth with our offshore investments. Let's go global together. Liberty, in it with you. Liberty Group Limited is a licensed life insurer and authorized FSP.
Checkers Little Shop is back with big savings, like 2 kgs Tastic parboiled long grain rice for $24.99 each, save 11 Rand. 1.5 litres Clover Crush 100% fruit juice blend for $29.99, save 10 Rand. And 30 per pack extra large eggs for $62.99, save 13 Rand. Plus get a free mini when you swipe and spend 200 Rand. Valid until this Sunday at Checkers and Checkers Hyper. Little Shop.
Knowledge is power, but no power source is infinite. Make sure you keep your battery of knowledge charged with the EWN newsletter. Delivered to your smartphone, tablet, or PC daily. Get the latest news, sports, business, polls, videos, and more to keep you updated.
Eyewitness News.
There's no better lunchtime read than the EWN newsletter. Sign up at ewn.co.za/newsletter. Eyewitness News. In touch, in tune, and independent.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Good day, Mandy. Mandy, I say talk is cheap. These press conferences, they don't instill any confidence in me. The only thing that will install confidence in me is if a crime is committed now and the police react swiftly to that crime, or people are arrested in the act, so that way I will feel protected and I will feel safe. But for now, no, Canadian Joburg.
Hi, Mandy. You know what is happening in Tembisa have nothing to do with service delivery. It is about politically motivated those
of a Supreme Court of Appeal and a Constitutional Court judgment. So it appeared today in the Pietermaritzburg High Court. It was adjourned to the 17th of October, pending the outcome of Zuma's leave to appeal at the Constitutional Court. Judge Pitkun saying that if the trial is not ready to commence in October, then a further holding date for the trial to continue would be determined. Jacob Zuma not in court today. He didn't need to actually be there. And then the other matter is the corruption case against the former eThekwini mayor, Zandile Gumede, and her 21 co-accused. That is underway in the Durban High Court today. They're accused of tender fraud worth over 320 million rand. They face more than 2,000 criminal charges. There was a fight for access for the media this morning. The trial has now started, and that seems to be underway. So an update there on those two big corruption cases taking place. It's 12:30. Time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Good afternoon, I'm Gladys Mutele. Metro Police in Ekurhuleni have confirmed the death of a resident in Tembisa amid violent service delivery protests. EMPD spokesperson Kilebohile Tepe says the protester was fatally wounded in a crossfire between members of the Metro Police and other demonstrators. She says the situation is currently volatile as EMPD members have been met with resistance from residents who have torched several buildings, including a customer care center. Tepe says members of the SAPS are yet to conduct the necessary investigations. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has refuted claims that the rise in shootings in parts of the country are linked to organized crime. Masemola was briefing the media on the country's crime in Pretoria today. His address comes on the back of several shooting incidents across the country, including tavern shootings in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. The commissioner was joined by Police Minister Bheki Cele. And finally, what would you do with nearly 20 billion rand? Well, that's the lottery jackpot currently up for grabs in the United States, where people are spending thousands on tickets. The owner of one fast food chicken chain bought 50,000 tickets on Friday at a cost of $100,000, promising to share the winnings with all of his employees. If you win, though, don't celebrate too quickly, because the U.S. lottery rules indicate that you'll only be paid out over the space of 3 decades unless you opt for the full amount now, an option that comes with hefty taxes, leaving you with a measly 10 billion rand jackpot in the end. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 1 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tsalagele Mganga. We started the Commonwealth Games where Joanna Sneeman, Esme Kruger, Bridget Kalitz and Tabelo Muvango beat Fiji 16-14 to advance to the final of the Lawn Bowls tomorrow. In the women's para-pairs, Desiree Levine and Victoria van der Merwe will take on England for the bronze medal on Wednesday. Naveen Derries has finished 6th in the women's artistic gymnastics all-round finals, while Michael Howley is through to the men's 50-meter breaststroke semi-finals alongside Brendan Crawford. South Africa currently sits 4th on the medals table with 4 golds, 1 silver and 1 bronze. Tatiana Skinmarker is among the medal holders after winning the 200-meter breaststroke final.
Every medal is special. I think this makes it even more special is sharing it with Kayleen. So 4 years ago she joined our squad right after Commonwealth Games, so it was a 4-year journey to today, and yeah, it's so nice to be able to have that moment with her.
It was also a successful weekend for the Proteas, who clinched a 2-1 T20 series win over England after a 90-run victory in the third game. Lisa Hendricks scored 70 as South Africa posted 191 for 5, and then Tobias Shamsi took 5 wickets to help seal the victory. And finally, 2-time champion Fernando Alonso has been confirmed as a driver for Aston Martin from 2023 on a multi-year contract. The Spaniard will replace Sebastian Vettel, who retires at the end of the season.
The year is 2040.
He's driving for Red Bull. Tsalagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Taking a look at the roads, you will experience some delay on the N3 North. This is just after Heidelberg-Balfour Road. There's a 10-minute delay on Main Reef Road in Amalgam as you approach Crownwood Street. Traffic remains slow on the N1 South in Deep Kloof at the Deep Kloof interchange. The Golden Highway is the best alternative route there. Faulty traffic light at the N3 and Modderfontein Road. Another faulty traffic light at the junction of Paul Kruger and John Foster Road. Do remember to treat those affected intersections as 4-way stops. More Eyewitness News traffic just after 1 o'clock.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Mandy, good day. When we speak as the people, when we voice ourselves, when we sign petitions, the government doesn't do anything. The minute we leave, they take all those things and throw away. But the minute we do this, they listen, they sweat, they stand, and they come and talk to us. Because when we ask them, they think like they are doing us like a favor by coming to talk to us. We are taxpayers. But people who stay in suburbs and live getting all service delivery will never understand all this.
Hi Mandy, it's Julia. No, I'm super happy for Benny McCarthy signing with Manchester United. I mean, that's fantastic news. I wish him nothing but the best for his future.
Yeah, well done. Benny McCarthy's in the area in Manchester United. Hey, it's brilliant. And I think that raises some questions. I've seen some commentary around whether or not local teams sufficiently value people like Benny McCarthy. The fact that he's been signed as a strikers coach. I mean, the guy's going to be coaching Cristiano Ronaldo if he sticks around at Man U. What does that say about how we value talent locally? And on the social delivery protest, I have covered many social delivery, service delivery protests in my life. I really have covered a lot of them. And invariably what does happen is that you do see politicians hitting the ground, is that it does catch the attention of politicians. And I've seen this happen time and again, where you see ministers, you see mayors, you see leaders at local government responding because the media is there. So they get the media attention. So is that the point? Is that why this is happening, that we're seeing infrastructure being set alight in Tembisa? Do you think it works?
Latest news, breaking stories,
expert analysis.
All you need to know in 60 minutes.
This is the Midday Report.
The ANC holding its policy conference over the weekend, its 6th National Policy Conference. The ANC President, Cyril Ramaphosa, has declared it a success. Unemployment, the rising cost of living, corruption amongst topics discussed. Sidi Madia spent her weekend covering that policy conference. Senior politics, actually the associate editor of politics for EWN. Sidi, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Give us the highlights package. If people didn't follow the policy conference over the weekend, what do they need to know? Ramaphosa's come out on top?
Good afternoon, Mandy. I would actually say Ramaphosa came out unscathed. I wouldn't necessarily call it coming out on top. Going into the conference, I said I felt it was a calm before the storm. I maintain that this conference was calm before the storm. I think it was well managed. There weren't a lot of drunk delegates. It was a scaled-down event. In terms of the actually, for me, it's a bigger picture about whether or not the ANC understands where the country is. People talk about extraordinary and urgent action needing to be taken. I've always felt it was forced on implementation. And I think Kosatu will also articulate a position on that. Regarding step-aside, Mandy, it is a proxy battle. They went in well aware that it was a proxy battle. Two of the largest provinces of the party went in demanding that they move towards scrapping that particular resolution. But as Ramaphosa spoke about what renewal means for the ANC, that the ANC, in order to do its job, in order to help serve the country, it's got to be able to renew itself. And I think that's where step aside is to take it, that you've got to be seen to want to root out corrupt members in your party. And he kind of spoke to that. He did acknowledge that there are issues about the implementation of step aside, saying that there is a need to assess how it's done in order for you as a meeting not to be seen to be used against political opponents. The issue around BIG, Mandy, I think the wealth tax issue comes up again. It's not the first time that it's come up. Mamloko Kubali, subcommittee of economic transformation, that they are considering this. But again, I always say, all of these, Mandy, will have to go to December, where the ANC and its highest decision-making body will deliberate over whether or not they want to go for this. I think another major talking point that came out is the chemical castration issue. It's not necessarily the first time that is very coming from the ANC, particularly the women's group. But it's also one of those things where I sit and I think, does the ANC fully understand the kind of democracy to model the country on? And whether or not this vision fits for it. I think, yes, we are the crisis. By and large, there's some leaders who recognize that. I spoke to former President Sababeki, who felt that deliberations at this weekend were aware, at least at the weekend, that the candidates were aware of what South Africa was facing, and they're coming up with ideas that would work towards that. But I must also recognize that for some of us, some members of the ANC cannot think beyond sectional considerations. But every approach to any issue is in line with who they are aligned to as far as the leadership is concerned in December.
Sidi, thank you so much for that analysis. Sidi Madia, Associate Politics Editor at EWN, spending the weekend at the policy conference there. How out of touch is the ANC? Are they aware of what's really going on? And also, did they do enough introspection around whether or not some of their policies failed? Sizwe Pamla is the national spokesperson for COSATU. Sizwe, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. You heard Sidi there talking about what the ANC was discussing or some of the policy issues. What are your concerns as COSATU?
Well, we can say we are happy with the fact that the ANC refused to budge on the step aside. I mean, that is something positive because we were worried when we started to hear calls
for it to be reconsidered. But of course, this is not the NGC, because if it was the NGC, it would have been easy to push for an assessment of the implementation of policies, which is the mandate of the NGC. But we still believe that, considering that we are in big trouble as a country and there are so many areas where South Africa is really struggling to keep up, at least this policy conference would have also taken a step back to reflect on the policies that were previously adopted, especially on the manifesto, to say what is it that was on the manifesto in 2019 and how are we doing when it comes to implementing some of those.
Right.
Yeah, because we need to have these policies, give them a chance, and then have a conversation about whether they need to be adjusted. But if you don't give them a chance, these policies, or you don't go back to check on whether some of these policies are being implemented honestly, then that's where the problem is.
Sizwe, one of the big issues that came out of the policy conference was the basic income grant. Were you pleased with the results of the conversation around that?
Yes, we are indeed. It's something we've been discussing for quite some time, and what makes us happy is the fact that this is a contentious issue that has been contested. So the fact that the ANC continues to stand firm on the introduction of the basic income grant, and also we have been complaining about the fact that for the last, let's say, 10 years, since 2012, they've just been giving handouts to the private sector with nothing to show for that. I mean, the corporate tax in 2012 moved from 34 to 27 now. We are happy that now they are starting to talk about the issue of a wealth tax, because these are some of the things that we were complaining about. So yes, there's progress in that one.
Sizwe, thank you very much. Sizwe Pamla, national spokesperson for COSATU, reacting there to the ANC policy conference and some of the key issues that were discussed there. Less focus on policy than the proxy battles taking place within the ANC. Buckle up, we still have 6 months to go until Nasrec in December. The urgency in needing to sell your car may lead to you meeting dodgy people or driving from dealership to dealership trying to find the best deal. Rather use webuycars.co.za for convenient and trustworthy service. WeBuyCars has been buying vehicles for over 2 decades. WeBuyCars.co.za, SA's #1 car buying service.
Jomi, congratulations on your booming business. Thanks, friend. But you know, with a small business, I'm always managing costs. Hi, Jomi, try Absa. Okay. Their range of business transactional accounts are tailor-made for small businesses. Business Evolve Core, Light, and Ignite offer great value with options of 0 monthly account fees, really low fees, free electronic payments, and sales on the go with Absa Mobile Pay. Now that's Africanacity.
Open a Business Evolve account at absa.co.za today. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
They say that before you can walk, you must crawl. And before you can run, you must walk. Slowly at first, and then faster and faster. But what do you do before you can fly? What do you do when going the distance means staying apart and taking Africa to the world becomes impossible? When everything around you says no. We believe we can inspire you to dream, because the ones who know believe in second chances. The ones who know inspire us to be the best that we can be. At SAA, we are inspired by the people who make South Africa great and are committed to connect you with the ones you love. Vuka Kanyanati, as we rise, you rise with us. Fly SAA.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
This is Judy from Broad Acres. I was quite surprised in the morning at 12:30 news bulletin that no mention was made of the Sevens rugby, where the Blitzbokke last night won gold. They played brilliantly, and I think they should be acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I actually mentioned it at the start of the show because I stayed up last night to watch the Blitzboks, and they were clinical. Neil Powell's team just absolutely destroyed Fiji in that final, and they played so well. So I did speak about how we have such good things happening in the country, yet the news cycle is so bleak, and South Africa is a country where you despair on Monday and you hope on Tuesday. That's the Adam Payton quote that I referenced. And for me, the Blitzboks last night were just so good, so clinical, winning the gold medal at the Commonwealth Games for the Sevens.
7:02.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Another installment today from News 24's investigative team around Babita Deokaran and why the Gauteng health official was gunned down last year. And the latest story says no investigation, no protection inside the department head's big lie to Babita Deokaran. Jeff Wicks is the News 24 investigative reporter working on that story. Jeff, great to have you back. Thanks very much for your time. This is the third installment that you've released on your investigation. You've looked at tons of emails, of documents, of messages. And the latest report shows us that the Gauteng Health CFO, Lerato Madio, told Babita Deokaran that her report on dubious spending patterns at Tembisa Hospital had been escalated for an investigation, but that never happened, did it?
No, well, that's certainly the information we're getting from key officials who were in power in the Gauteng Health Department when Babita Deokaran was murdered. And, you know, it sketches a story of inaction and deceit, because we are now fairly certain that despite Lerato Madio telling Babita Deokaran 12 days before she died that her Tembisa Hospital report was receiving attention and there had been a request for an investigation. In fact, that request was never made then and hasn't been made since, and nearly a year later.
So what did happen? Did anything actually happen? And what is the Gauteng Health Department saying now about whether or not there is an investigation at all?
Well, I'll answer your second question first. The Gauteng Health Department is saying nothing. They've gone to ground, which is quite sad considering this concerns the use of public funds and is directly linked to transparent governance. But what we know is that despite Babita Deokaran raising her concerns about massive expenditure out at Tembisa Hospital, instead of a forensic audit on those particular payments which she flagged, they did a randomized compliance audit of all health facilities in the province.
Jeff, you've dropped bombshell after bombshell over the last couple of weeks about this. As you say, the Gauteng Health Department is saying nothing. The only person who is speaking at the moment is the DA's Shadow Health